Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Democrats last night actually won a statewide election in the state of Alaska. Their first statewide election victory in the state of Alaska since 2008 when Mark Begich, the former senator of the state of Alaska, ended up winning that election. It has been 14 years. And this is interesting. It is. And a lot of Democrats are elated. They are celebrating. They acted like they just won the Super Bowl. They're saying they're going to have a blue wave year. The red wave is over. It's diminished. It's dead. It's receding, whatever. And it's like, okay, Republicans still combined in this election for 60% of the vote. And it is a screwy system. And there are a lot of nuances to why the results were the way they were. But Mary Peltola has defeated her friend, Sarah Palin, in this election by 3 percentage points because of ranked choice voting. It's a very ridiculous system, in my opinion, regarding ranked choice voting, and I'm going to explain why in this video. But first, have to get into our first ad here of the month. Our good friends over at Noble Gold. Noble Gold CEO Colin Plume thinks quantitative tightening is setting up the stage for a gold rally. In his interview with the National Desk, he said that tightening is pushing the dollar up. However, he predicts that by next year, the Fed will print money again to restart economic activities. So if you're thinking about gold and silver right now, Noble Gold is giving a free American Eagle coin with every eligible IRA or 401k in September. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. So back to Alaska here. You talk about states with a big gold concentration historically, the state of Alaska. Democrats taking the House race in the state, at least between now and November. Clearly in November, things may change. Obviously, you're going to have a different turnout. But either way, Republicans did not underperform in this election whatsoever. Republicans combined for close to 60% of the vote. Mary Peltola didn't even get 40%. And in round one, when they had the open primary, even had more Republicans. Republicans won by 23. If you combine all the Republicans together and you combine all of the Democrats together, which basically was just one Democrat. So what it comes down to is Republicans overperforming Donald Trump in 2020 in this race. Technically, one could say by 13 points or so in this, or even by 11 to 12 in the three-person round, you could say. So already they're outperforming Trump. They're outperforming Don Young, the long-tenured representative's 2020 performance, by even more than that. So the notion that Republicans are doomed in the midterms because of ranked choice voting, it's not entirely true in terms of the national environment and how that's moving. I will say that there will be a problem for the Alaska race in November if this does persist, if Begich and Palin cannot exactly work something out. And why is ranked choice voting so bad? Well, a lot of people don't understand how it works, plain and simple. Like, I don't even fully understand all the ins and outs of ranked choice voting. I'm learning. I know more than most people, but like, I'm the elections guy. And even I, have a little bit of a difficult of understanding. It basically took me a while to sort of get how it works. The average person out there that's just your normie, your average voter, has no idea. And this is a system that is being propped up to preserve the Senate tenure of Lisa Murkowski, who would easily lose a Republican primary. And if you look at the results here, she got 45% of the total vote in round one, the total vote in this primary. And a lot of the Democrats just voted for her. The state's probably around 37% Democrat or so, give or take a couple of points. Democrats only combined for 8% of the vote or so. Probably even a little bit less than that if you look at it. But either way, a lot of their votes went for Murkowski. Of the Republican primary electorate, if you had a closed primary system, Murkowski probably would have gotten around 30% of the primary vote or so. And even if she did her sore loser write-in campaign in this environment when we're more polarized, I'm not exactly sure that she would end up winning at least at the same rate that she did last time. I think she would perform, in a competitive manner. I'm not necessarily sure that she would defeat Shabaka. however, for all intents and purposes. But beyond that point, ranked choice voting, there's definitely a lack of understanding with the majority of people, and Sarah Palin was not well liked among a lot of Republicans. She used to be. She had, back in 2008, before she was VP, or at least on the VP ticket, I should say, for John McCain, she had an approval rating that was, rivaling George Bush post 9/11. She was up there with a supermajority of voters. She helped McCain not only win the state of Alaska, but diminish a lot of losses in a lot of places in the state. But after that, 2009 came around, the way she left office kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. She then comes back out of nowhere, and a lot of people are not really fond of that, especially up in the state of Alaska. So you had a lot of Bajich voters that did not support her at all, and even ranked her third in many cases. A lot of them didn't understand the consequences of what was happening. But of Bajich voters, Bajich, keep in mind, he does come from a Democrat family. But he ran to the right of Palin, one could argue, in many ways, and he was actually challenging Don Young in the primary from the right before Don Young passed away a few months ago. But Bajich's voters ranked Palin second only half the time, and a great portion of them exhausted their ballots and didn't exactly know how ranked choice worked. And a lot of them probably just didn't even put Palin on the ballot and put Peltola second place because they didn't exactly know how it worked, or they just despised Palin that much. And as a result, Palin ended up losing. And that's the way that it is. And Palin, I don't believe, was fair to Bajich. I don't think that Bajich was fair to Palin either. I think that either of them could have helped each other. And after, last night, given some of their statements about the November election, they seem like they don't want to help each other. So hopefully they come to some form of an agreement, or Democrats are going to hold the seat. They are going to hold it in November or so, or at least it will be a toss-up if they do not come to an exact agreement. And it's pretty obvious why you see a split Republican Party, and that's going to be a problem. And would Palin have won a 1v1? I believe so. There have been polls that have shown that she was a little bit underwater, and I think it would have been close. But if you look at the fact that the party would have been united, there wouldn't have been RCV. There would have been a more united display of resources on the right wing for Sarah Palin and Palin alone, then Palin probably would have crossed the finish line in a 1v1, in my opinion, which is just another example of why ranked choice voting is something that a lot of people don't understand, and it's something that, in my opinion, is a detriment not just to the Republican Party, but to elections as a whole. I'm not really the biggest fan of runoff systems, but I think a runoff system is arguably better than ranked choice voting, one could say. And beyond that point, I'm just not a big fan of this system. I'm not a big fan of this election in general, not a fan of how either one of these candidates really have approached the situation regarding ranked choice voting to really diminish the chances of a Democrat victory. Seems like they both just went out there and tried to advance themselves to the detriment of the party. And I will say that that's a little bit of a problem. And either way, regarding November, they're going to have to work something out. I don't know if Trump's going to have to get involved or something, but either way, this is a little bit of a mess, I will say. And I'm not saying it's a mess because Republicans are underperforming and that it's like a hint of a blue wave like a lot of Democrats would say, but the system is something that doesn't exactly work. So I'm hoping that voters will understand that. I'm hoping voters will understand how the system works. I'm hoping that voters will try to get rid of this system in the future, because we know why this system's in place. It's in place to preserve the rhinos. It's in place to preserve Lisa Murkowski so she doesn't get primaried out, so she doesn't lose, because in every single state that does not have this system, Murkowski would have gone down, besides Louisiana, because then you'd have a top two primary system, in their jungle primary, and then they'd advance. Same thing with Washington. But every other normal state, like Michigan, like Texas, like, even Georgia to an extent, regarding the primaries at least, Just a state like that, you would not have this happening. You would have had it be 1v1 Shabaka and then some Democrat. And if Murkowski would have tried to do the third party thing, which you should not be allowed to do, you should have sore loser laws on the books, she probably wouldn't have done as well as she did in 2010, even though I still think it would have been remotely competitive. But beyond that point, it's ridiculous. The system needs to go. Everybody agrees, by the way, on the right wing for the most part, besides some people that are just out there shilling for Nick Bajich, despite the fact that he got in third place because they want to advance him, because they knew he probably couldn't have won a 1v1 primary. And it's very possible that Bajich could get second place next time, and he arguably, you could even say, would defeat Peltola more so than Palin, because he is less polarizing in the final round. But either way, the system is so screwy, and it needs to go. And it is a mess. And it could cost Republicans this House seat in November, a House seat they should have, a House seat that Don Young held for how many years on end? He's held it for, since like before the 1980s. He's held it for a long time. And Democrats now hold it because of this system, solely because of this system, and because of division on the right wing within this system. I know Palin is not the most liked at this point. I think that Bajich, he comes from a Democrat family, even though he's hated by the rest of his family. He's divisive as well. And both of them need to come to an agreement, because the way that both of them have been behaving is leaving a bad taste in a lot of voters' mouths on the right wing, and it creates more dooming. And I really feel like if there is a reason why the wave doesn't happen, it's going to be because of panic on the right wing. It's going to be because of dooming. They don't know how to handle the process. They don't know how to take a step back. You have a lot of low impulse takes I'm seeing from a lot of people, not just like irrelevant people on the TL, but also from a lot of pundits, a lot of strategists. And it's like, get your stuff together, please. We can do this if we like keep going and we stay white-pilled. But if you're just going to be dooming for no reason, yeah, our gains are going to be diminished because you're demoralizing voters in the process. And we don't want to do it. You have to keep pressing on. Obviously, we have to correct course to a degree regarding good messaging, regarding, candidates and the infighting in these weird, screwy voting systems like Alaska. But either way, the red wave will continue, and it will grow stronger compared to the current polling if we just stay on message, and I believe it will. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.